How's it going, guys? I hope you have an awesome day today so far. And Bitcoin is kind of in a moment right now. We'll see what happens. As a community, we jumped in on an SFP trade. You got this hourly SFP here where we swept this previous low and we swept it twice. So we got the confirmation of the SFP here on the hourly, and then we jumped on the trade here. With the target in mind, we're targeting this supply concern up here. And if we end up managing to breaking past this, they're going to have a higher time frame change of character, like an hourly and a 15-minute right here. And this is when we can extend our target if we manage to get past this point. But for now, we just got to take it one step at a time and see how we deal with this supply concern. It's Sterling. How you doing, man? Coma, how you doing? Hope you guys are having an awesome day today. We got 31 peeps watching so far. About half of them from Twitter, the other half from the YouTube side of the fence. But yeah, so for Bitcoin, right now we are bouncing off of a couple of key levels. We have this downtrending momentum that we used as a form of resistance for a little while before breaking it and bringing us to a new all-time high. And in confluence with that, we have this uptrending momentum that's been holding up Bitcoin since 76K. A little while now. Yeah, go through the daily to truly see it better. Right, so we're testing that level again, right? Starting from this point here, 76.4K. And on top of that, we had the previous value area volume shelf, pretty much the point of control, being right here. You can see where like the volume shelf kind of starts. We got the point of control, and we're just kind of like tapping that in confluence with everything we just spoke about, right? So we got that downtrending momentum, uptrending momentum, kind of like apex point here that we're kind of jumping off of. We got the SFP, we got the point of control, like volume area of interest here that we're bouncing off of. So we're kind of hopeful for that strong move up to this supply concern. And then after that, we can be reactional, right? We can either A, just exit, close your trade when you get up there. It's a good 1 to 2.5, depending on where you jumped in. Is when I gave the signal, it was when this candle here closed. So you could have gotten in a little bit lower, you could have gotten in a little bit higher, but hopefully you didn't jump in unless you got the proper risk to reward ratio. And yeah, and like Kane just said, Bitcoin dominance does look good. We took note of that in the post. We were talking about how it just bounced off an uptrending point of interest. And now it's kind of fighting a downtrending point of interest right here. So this tells us that unless we hold these levels here as support, that we should prepare for interest to, it might shift back into alts during this period. Doesn't mean Bitcoin can't go up, but it does mean that relative to Bitcoin, alts might outperform Bitcoin if this is honored as a form of resistance. We did have I did mark this level to see if dominance would give us like that SFP. And we did. We got an SFP here, which is a bearish thing. So hitting that in confluence with the uptrending momentum on the dominance chart, we could see it come down to this uptrending point of interest again before maybe finally breaking to the upside. We'll see what happens. We have this downtrending momentum that's been holding it down since around 62%. And we're approaching a strong key level at 58.6. So if we do end up ultimately breaking this to the downside, it might be short-lived, where we might get this break of the downtrend momentum and start seeing a lot more interest in Bitcoin again. But yeah, so lots of good confluences. with this setup, we just need to get past the previous point of control in the VWAP. That's the main concern right now. That's the big barrier towards our local target, right? So if we zoom in here a little bit, actually zoom out first. This is the valley area here, right? And this is where we're getting our SFP off of. We're getting SFP off of this valley area low, this previous valley area low, where we recently had it act as resistance. So when we come up, we got to watch that point of control, that previous point of control, alongside with the VWAP, because it could interrupt our ability to go beyond. But yeah, it could interrupt our ability to go beyond it and hit our target. So when we get up there, we'll have to see how the price actually behaves, because it might force you out of some of your trade a bit. But so far, so good. We're kind of back at our entry right now. But the performance ever since we got the SFP so far has been pretty good. So hopefully we get that break past this area. And then once we get past this, I'll be moving my stop loss to break even once we get past this area. And then it should be relatively easy for a price action to get to here after that point. Hello, Super Kyle. Love the shirt. Thanks, man. You entered a bit lower, Wagner. Nice. Good job, man. Good evening, Bluff. How are you doing? But yeah, that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. There's not really much to it. If we were talking about, waiting for a change of character at this level since the drop kind of started, right? So because we got this previous valley area data to help support us in preparing for a potential return back up. This is the golden pocket from this high to the low. So if we end up getting that change of character, this is going to be my next primary target will be here. Well, I'll be mindful of the supply concern here at the 30-minute order block and confluence with that. So if we do get that opposing change of character here, then I'll be more than happy if we broke past this, so we can have the opportunity to close around here instead. It all depends what kind of behavior we get when we get up to here. But yeah, what do you guys want to look at? I've got like 45 minutes, and we can do TA on any of your favorite assets while we wait for Bitcoin to hit his target here. Anyone who's not who didn't jump in on the signal, honestly, if you get around here to our entry, you could still jump in a little late. Just know that our stop loss guard is based on the invalidation point of the SFP. So right below the wick. Okay, first request was Pangu. All right, let's take a peek at that. Had to look twice, but it's the real Kyle Chismore. Yeah. Thanks, man. Let me get a really important indicator out. The magnet tool. One of the strongest tools in trading history. Get this out. It'll increase your win rate. Bam. Okay. All right, let's look at Pangu for Justin. And then we'll look at Cardano for Jose. Oh, we don't have a Pangu chart. What am I thinking? Okay, so we got Binance chart here. We have some paths drawn, looks like, from yesterday. Oh, yeah, okay, I remember. So, yeah, we lost this upturning momentum on Pangu. The target after this break was this low right here. We were talking about that earlier too. And we got two suggestive paths, right? One based on us just sweeping this liquidity and getting a change of character reaction around here. We instead got like a stronger bounce than I anticipated off of this little demand zone, right? So we got like that. I guess the change of character would have been way up here, right? So we got that awkward price action, but we didn't. We are coming down to our key level of interest with Pangu. we can start deleting this stuff now. This is still something that you should prepare for. So here we have the confluence of the previous point of control, the 50-day EMA inside this previous value area. So if we come down here and we have this act as support and we get that like proper change of character reaction, we can start looking for a rotation back up to the downtrending point of interest. So like, yeah, Pangu is looking good. Still a waiting game for like a safe trade setup, but it's coming to strong areas of confluence. So as long as the market agrees, like if and we do get that structural evidence of support, then I think that looking for a potential long around 0.03 around here will be a good spot to repair. But yeah, a little bit of a waiting game still. We can delete this. This has been mitigated. Not very helpful to us. And like the data from the value area high is enough too, because we've been using that as support and not just like this, the confluence of that demand zone. We had the previous value area high here kind of hold up too. We had a really, really good SFP opportunity right here on Pangu, where we swept this low, and you would be initially targeting like this high, and we blasted right past it. So congrats if you took that, but that I understand if you didn't. There's yeah, decent amount of confluence here that I'd be trying to be patient for and see if we get that kind of structural evidence of support through a change of character. And then we will break the downtrending momentum in confluence with that. See what happens. You know, most likely would consolidate down here for a bit. Okay. But if we lose that 50-day EMA and that point of control, we first get that rotation to the value area low. But you'd really be hopeful that we hold this, because if we don't hold this on Pangu, then it could be a pretty gross drop. It would confirm like this large descending double top after losing the 50-day EMA, and likely see the 50-day EMA act as resistance and give us a fall down to this would be our next demand zone right here, which would likely be in line with the 200-day EMA as it catches up to the price action. So mark this zone here. I got hiccups. Sorry, guys. Here we go. All right, cool. So I'm hopeful that this holds for you, and then we can start targeting up here. All right, so that's Pangu. Let's go back to Bitcoin, take a peek, see how it's doing. Got our magnet tool way too big. Can zoom in a bit. Yeah, so we're back at our entries for now. Hopeful for that ascending double bottom posture, something like this. Break the neckline and come up. So that's Pangu. Let's take a look at the next request. So we have Cardano from Jose. So here we got Cardano was doing really well. Oh, we hit that. Oh, right. Okay. So last time we were talking about Cardano, it was around this time, right? When we had that big drop, was during this candle. And we're anticipating us to find support off this demand zone and resistance off the supply concern. And it does look like we got it. Like both those scenarios kind of played out. Now, how would you enter this trade? See, we got, how is that? Is that an SFP there? Yeah, we got, so it would be probably the best opportunity would have been this SFP on this candle. We swept this low and we closed above the wick and targeting likely this local high at first and hopes for a continuation. But based on the momentum, you would have been able to hold that for sure. And then we had a resistance off this local high, created that inverse head and shoulders posture. And we got that continuation up, hit our head off the supply concern. So right now, the Cardano, it's got a little bit of relative strength against Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is like SFPing off of this low here, right? And then, but Cardano just recently had a bounce off its demand zone and it's just creeping its way up. We did lose this upturning momentum here. Then we had that bearish break of structure. It came down and we get a bit of a pullback. And yeah, just look a little bit weak relative to Bitcoin. And that reflects really well on the Bitcoin dominance chart with most of the attention going towards Bitcoin right now. I would still leave this on your chart here, even though we kind of like tapped a little bit into it because we didn't really fully mitigate it, but it has gotten weaker, right? So the next time we come up here, our probability of continuing would be a lot higher than it was the first time tapping it. But overall, I'd anticipate a potential rotation back down here so far for Cardano. But yeah, this thing's doing really, really well. Just gotta get past that really strong volume shelf, and then we can start seeing some crazy levels. Maybe we'll get that really aggressive move to 123 again, or at least to this previous value area high, $1.11. Because if we zoom out on Cardano, when we get past this area, we tend to have a really aggressive, fast move to at least the value area high. See, historically, when we break this, fast move, right? Fast move, fast move. Right, so I'll prepare for the same kind of behavior if we do break past this. At least get that quick move here. But this is a very strong key level, $1.23, that we're likely going to struggle to break past the next time around, next time we try to tap it. But I hope that helps you out. Yeah, our key levels are still the same, but now we're starting to kind of range between them. Okay, let's see. Is it a good time to enter Bitcoin current? Oh, you mean market? Okay, yeah. As a market order, yeah, if we get closer to, yeah, as we get closer to our entry point, yeah, it's still a viable entry. Take a look at ZK if you have time. Kyle, how can we know all the layout you create for each chart? When you go into the Discord, whether you're a member or not, there's this welcome chat section. You can type !charts, and then you get a message from our bot. If you're a Fanova member, it works the same for you. But you get a message from our bot that will give you all of my chart links here. And then you just click on anyone, and it'll show you the current TA that I have drawn on there. And then some people will message me, like, hey, can you take a look at H bar and update your chart? And then I'll do stuff like that to help them along with their trades, like side by side kind of thing. But yeah, that's how you do it. !charts is the command, and then you'll get that DM. Can we check out pump? Yeah, we can take a look at pump, see if it's actually pumping this time. Last time we checked on it, it was. Go on the Bybit chart. Okay, the last time we looked at it, we were looking at a bearish case scenario. If we broke this key level, we'd come down. We have this broad momentum over here that we are kind of like veering away from. It looks like we just bounced off of the low of this little demand zone here and these previous highs before breaking momentum, this downtrending internal momentum here, warning us that it could be start coming towards your entry again. And the measurable target for this internal structure here is the top. And then we went way beyond it. So pump actually started pumping there. We can delete this now. It's not really helpful to us anymore. Let's see if we can find a new key level. Well, it does look like it's trying to create a larger version of what we just spoke about here. So like the measurable target for this is pretty weak, right? in comparison. So this is your measurable target. You'll be targeting around here, this previous value high, and it was undercut from the confluence of support here. So we have this ascending momentum here, building a head and shoulders posture. If we find out its measurable target based on its momentum, it suggests a move strong enough to break this uptrending momentum to test the previous value high again. We do have barriers you got to watch out for. We've got pretty much the same area of concern. It will be here. So we just mark this as local support. Or we can box. Yeah, this zone of interest here. Just mark as local support. But yeah, along the way down, we have this uptrending momentum here. We got to watch out for. And the only real way you can detect ahead of time that this momentum is going to be honored is the order books and seeing if there's a limit buy order wall around this area. If you see a large amount of buy orders around here, then you got to take this trend line seriously. Otherwise, we might likely just break right through it and then watch for a support reaction off of here. If you don't get the support reaction, then you can stay in your short. Just want to rotate to a higher time frame for a sec. We have that failure to create a higher high. So our key level is basically here. There we go. Right now we're currently using it as support. We get that. Yeah, we get a follow-up break of structure here. Then I'd suggest preparing for our drop down to at least here, and then this will be your next stop, potentially here. Look at something like this. With my short position tool out. If we already got that break of structure signaling a potential continuation, it's just we held above this local support here. So I'd like to see that break of structure again, but I want to see it below this orange line and then start targeting around here. That's how I'm viewing pump right now, especially after hitting our little confluence zone here. So it's just getting a good reset after a big, decent climb. Like pump finally found support and stabilized. So now we're kind of climbing up. We might be building like a large potential range here. All right, cool. So that is pump. I hope that helps you out. That's what I'm looking at for pump. Let's go to the next chart. So we have a request on Qubic. Qubic from vacation. Pull this back up here. Zoom in. We have a separate Qubic chart. We looked at this yesterday as well. I don't know if we drew any key levels though. Yeah, we were anticipating for it to come down, potentially down to this low, but we held off this local support the entire time. Right here. Now Qubic, when I found out recently that it's like, I think it's over like 51%. It's responsible for over 51% of the hash rate for XMR. Like that's just insane to me. I thought that was pretty intense. It's kind of like taking over XMR entirely. So we delete this. It's not invalidated, but it doesn't seem to want to drop from here. We have a demand zone like right in our face as well, like right here. sends it back. But we're definitely stacking liquidity below us in the form of stop losses, liquidation levels, all that stuff. So it's going to become a key area of interest. It could be volatile enough to break past this area, or at least cause a bounce before getting the continuation down here. It's uptrending momentum. This is a supply barrier. Yeah, this is not relevant. Not sure what I was thinking. So we have, yeah, we need to adjust this here. And lots of confluence here. Yeah, I'm not sure what I was thinking before. We had this, yeah, supply. It was pulled on supply concern, not a demand zone. It was a previous area of concern for this range right here. Guess my brain was flipped upside down when I was explaining this. We got this here. And that's just why you do your due diligence. Don't just trust everything I say. Because there could be scenarios where I make a mistake like that. We have two demand zones. If this key level breaks, we could fall down. This is a high area of interest here. We have this uptrending momentum that's been holding it up since July 23rd, where we could find support there again. And by the time price action does go down, if it goes down here, the momentum would be aligned with this demand zone as well. So you'd have the confluence of the momentum and that demand zone. Our next big area of interest for potential shorts, if we don't get that break, would be up here at 0.372. It's like parts per million, right? See, off of this, so if you look back on like a 4-hour time frame, at this previous high, we have the supply concern here that we could hit our head off of as well. But Qubic is definitely showing signs of relative strength. So we might not ever get that break anytime soon. Which Twitter tracker do we use? You can use Whale. Yeah, the Whale. There's a few good ones. Yeah, Whale Alerts is one I like to use. Depends what you're trying to track. There's lots of things to track these days. ETF flows, all that stuff. But you can do all that with the on-chain tools. HU USDT. Or if you're asking about USDT dominance from that statement, we could take a peek at that. We were looking at that the other day, and it's like currently at its valley area low of this. Let's zoom out a little further. So we have this valley area for USDT dominance. It's been kind of, so let's see how old it is. It's about 544 days. We're kind of approaching its valley area low here in the macro. Last time we looked at it, we were kind of like just breaking past this point of control. It looks like we pulled back, hit it, got that break of structure. But now we're getting like this inverse head and shoulders kind of posture, showing us that funds are flowing from crypto into like USDT. But yeah, overall, I'll be looking for a potential strong reversal around here. And that would be a pretty bearish scenario for alts and Bitcoin, or basically crypto in general, telling us that funds are starting to flow into USDT and out of Bitcoin and out of alts and stuff like that. So here, that could be that scenario. If we break this downtrending momentum around this value area low, like this would be likely the key level that you would want to prepare for something like that. So things would likely flip pretty bearish once we have this break. And then around here, you'll be preparing for things to flip back bullish again. But yeah, right now, internally, like low time frame, we're getting that like inverse head and shoulders kind of behavior. Signs of funds flowing out. We got above the point of control. right? And with the measurable momentum-based target, suggests a move to the downturning momentum again. So I'll just be personally watching the 50-day EMA alongside with that downtrending momentum and see how we behave around here. But yeah, so far, yeah, it's getting a little sluggish. Back, if we get that higher high off the POC, then we can expect it to kind of like creep up to here. And based on the momentum, it's suggesting that we can get there within the next 2 days, basically. Going back to the Bitcoin chart, see how we're doing. Getting a bit of a pullback. We had an immediate sprint after our entry, but now it's just kind of like chugging along. Let's look at the lower time frames. Yeah, still just kind of like testing close to our entry. I'm hopeful for that ascending double bottom posture. Solana from Caliphant. Yeah, let's take a look. Sol, how are you doing? I think the other day it had some relative weakness. Yeah, it still does, eh? Well, not even. Or like it's kind of equal alongside Bitcoin's behavior. So it's not relevant weakness, but it's kind of weak with everything else. So we have, it's just been, yeah, it had that run up just like everything else did. Just sprinted towards this valley area. The moment we got like acceptance into this valley area here with that pullback and break of structure, we just like creeped our way up to the valley area high and bounced off the local valley area low and then came back up to the local and previous valley area high simultaneously and then fell back down. We lost our demand zone here. We can delete that. And right now we're trying to like hold support off of this valley area. So if we get that break of structure into the valley area, we could expect a potential rotation down to this valley area low. We can delete some of this confusion here. There we go. There we go. So here, yep, potential acceptance to the valley area, and we could come down to this previous valley area low. But hopefully we go range bound instead off this previous valley area high, and just testing this level for a potential return back up to these highs at this previous valley area data here. If we zoom out, I can show you where that came from. I'll zoom out a little further. It's right here. Like the last time we were here, we also hit our head off of this and end up losing momentum, and we fell down to this demand zone here. So I'm hoping that we don't repeat history and come all the way back down here again. We do have this uptrend momentum here we can monitor, similar to how we monitor it here. So we can track the pace of the buyers. It helps give us an edge in knowing that the sellers are kind of taking over. But yeah, I'm hopeful that we consolidate for a bit, maybe about 20 hours or so before breaking this downtrend momentum and then getting a return back up to this valley area here. But there's no setup here that I can suggest just yet. If we could get that like lower low, bounce off the momentum, and then get that change of character reaction, and in that case, I might suggest a long to the VWAP or to the downtrend momentum or the valley area low, depending on where we are positioned and what the order books look like at the time. But yeah, it's about preparing for a long right now. It's just finding out if we get the structure first to define whether or not it's safe. Just trying our best to hold above this valley area. Can we look at B&B? Yeah. Actually, I'm curious about BNB. It's one of those ones that no one wants to talk about. Like last time someone asked me to look at BNB was July 23rd. What's going on? Here's being a little bit weird. There we go. Okay. I don't know why we have this blue line on my chart. Just delete that. So it's the 4-hour momentum here that we're kind of like potentially losing. One of those reasons why the order books are helpful for your trend lines, just to validate that your placement is accurate. So if you see if there's like a buy wall here, for example, you might want to make a slight adjustment. But if you notice that there's no buy wall, then just leave it as is because price action is likely breaking past it. As many touch points as you possibly can, so you can have that accurate trend line. We've got an hourly change of character here. So we flip bearish right here. We broke this level. And then we fell down. Looks like we came to a potential golden pocket level here. Actually, we broke that level. Test the golden pocket. And now we're at this 4-hour momentum. So hopefully it holds, but if it doesn't, yeah, the next level, I can delete this. The next level I'll be looking at for support would be at the bottom of this potential value area if we don't hold here. Because right now we're kind of like dancing on top of this value area high. Right? Let's see. So it's kind of giving the similar vibes to Solana in that way where we're holding above a previous value area high, and if we get acceptance within it, we'll likely get that rotation back down to the value area low. But yeah, that's it so far. But this thing's doing really well overall, like macro. It's doing amazing. I think we just got a new all-time high, right? Yeah, we just got a brand new all-time high. I think this thing's going to go to about 1,200, 1,300 this cycle. I have about 49 BNB. But yeah, if we do drop, it'd be pretty incredible to have an opportunity down here to accumulate. It's pretty much where the liquidity will start to get cold locally, is right around here. But yeah, this will be the first step. Acceptance to the value area, rotation to the value area low. Lose this value area, start targeting the next one. And then ultimately target 731. The R&R is not great for the short yet. You need more structure to define it because you're not even getting a one-to-one. So you need some kind of potential bounce here and close, so you can use that as your stop loss guard. Otherwise, you would be preparing for the potential bounce for a double bottom posture to return back up to this supply concern right here. You can mark that as well with a box. I draw this downtrend momentum really quick. But yeah, that's it so far. Bitcoin, yeah, it's starting to creep down a little bit more. React token, please. Reactive network. I don't think we've ever heard of that one. Reactive network. So there's a KuCoin Gate.io, Mexi. Okay, so like the easy listings. We'll look at it on KuCoin. It's got some poor liquidity on KuCoin. Lots of gaps. Crazy wicks. Zoom out on the daily. Okay, so it's not too old. It only has this 50-day EMA. There's no 200 on here. Let me just triple check. Yeah, I got my 200 out. So it's not 200 days old yet. Okay, it's about 100 and yeah, about 99 days. 163. Okay. We don't want to break this daily level. If we break this daily level, then we'll have a double top confirmed and a break below the 50, and we'd fall back down to this previous value area here. Actually, we got double distribution a little bit too strong, so we have two value areas. Let's go to the hourly. Now this thing, I wouldn't trade it. You might buy and hold it, but trading this thing's a little bit messy. If you look at all these wicks, it'll knock you out of your trade constantly. If you're using strong lows and strong highs as stop loss guards, it'll keep constantly trying to knock you out. So I wouldn't recommend trading this one. Like right now, we're at its positioning is at a key, like a strong area of interest. We're at the point of control for this range bound price action that it's been in for about 26 days now. So we're at a spot where most people would be preparing for selling, like sells or shorts and stuff like that. An accumulation area would be like at this, at or below the value area low here. We have an hourly order block. We have a daily order block here as well. So if we do come down, we have some confidence for a decent bounce. But I wouldn't really suggest trading it. Maybe spot buys at the range low, spot buys at the range high. But it'll be tough to anticipate a location for your stop loss without getting knocked out. So just be super careful with this one. I'm maybe looking for, if you're looking for a spot to accumulate, maybe around like the 50-day EMA or this local demand zone here. But if this breaks, and we stay below we'll have like a large double top. You can see it come right back down. I don't know anything about this project. It could be a good project. We're at the point in its age where like the marketing is be really important. So I'd keep an eye on the team and see what they're planning. What about Ondo? Can we talk about the portfolio rotation? It's a big subject. It's like it's a pretty big subject. So what you could do for portfolio rotation, let's say you have an asset that you're thinking about investing in and an asset that you hold. You get like a comp chart similar to like the Ethereum against Bitcoin chart to find out when is the best time to potentially rotate from that one asset into a new one. So the one that you're rotating to has relative strength over the one that you're currently holding. In combination to like key levels of support. So you don't want to just be rotating from one to the other just because one's looking stronger than the other, because that is not a direct reflection always on the price. So you kind of have to use like two data sets to inform you when you should be switching assets around. Yeah, it's a pretty big conversation, and I don't really have much time to go over that. but I'll definitely help you out. I think you're one of the handful of people that sent me their portfolio asking me to help them with a portfolio rebalance, and it might be a good time to prepare for something like that soon. Like Bitcoin's about 50% towards its exhaustive target for the cycle. So if you don't think that 2x is worth holding, and you want to try to get maybe like a 3x or a 4x on an asset, it could be a good time to start looking at alts. But Bitcoin is so close to a guarantee in comparison to alts right now. It's insane. So it all depends on what kind of risk tolerance you have as well, because a lot of alts are, even like the OGs, are failing in comparison to Bitcoin. Kyle, we are at 33% win rate theoretically. How do we calculate the win rate in case we had wins which never get close to the target, but still count them as wins? How it affects long-term plan? It impacts your long-term R&R. If you're closing trades prior to your measurable target, it hurts your net R&R. So since this challenge started, yeah, the win rate's been. I'll have to update the chart a bit. It's like between like 33 and 40%. And hopefully this trade will add to that win, that win rate, or look, just waiting for it to break this neckline, and we'll have that strong continuation up. But yeah, my I should be probably merging my. I should make a nerfed small version of my overall trade performance, so you guys can see like these, like a loss streak like this is like very common. Like I'll tell you this though, I never had a loss streak that long before since like 2019. But yeah, loss streaks are normal. It's just psychologically it sucks. Sal, we did just do Cardano, so you can take a peek at the yeah, go back a little bit, and yeah, you'll be able to find it. Um, what about King Ondo? Ondo. Ondo. I don't know how it's pronounced, but yeah, this thing is good to accumulate below $1. The last time we're looking at this long opportunity. We got a 200 crossover 50. Oh no, it's a 50 crossover 200. Sorry. So we got this golden cross, but it looks pretty weak. See, like this is an example of like a strong cross here, like the strong death cross. You want to have the momentum, like the momentum is based on like how far away they spread apart. And I know we're just crossing now, but yeah, we need to see that volume come in. It's the confluence of it's the combination, sorry, of us grabbing the supply here, and this previous supply here from this recent top. It's kind of like halting the price action right after the cross. So now it just looks a little weak because of it. And we can delete this. We don't need that anymore. That was for the last long. We have this uptrending momentum here. Delete that too. We don't need this anymore. We have overlap data. Okay. And then we can zoom in a little bit more now. Previous value area. From here to here. Oh, my bad. I just pulled a anchor VWAP. My bad. Let me just delete that. Yeah, so we just lost this like internal momentum here, how to act as resistance right here. And we're coming down right now to a strong area of confluence. We got this previous high. We've got the 200 and the 50-day EMA pretty much side by side right here. And we have this more macro momentum here. So we could get that bounce. Just got to look for like the low, let's say like a 15-minute or an hourly change of character reaction down here in confluence with a break of this internal downtrending momentum. So if we were to do suggestive pathing around here, you'd be looking for a long somewhere inside this area right here in hopes that you get that structural confluence. If you don't get the structural confluence, don't take the trade, of course, but you want to have like pathing similar to like something like this. And then you'd be targeting your first supply concern and hopes for a continuation beyond it. And then your next little area be this guy here. But that is Ondo. I'm a holder of Ondo. I have to look up my average. My average is below $1, but because Ondo likes to range, it's a good asset to practice spot sells at the top of range. Let's say like 10% of your bag at the top of the range, and then rebuy at the bottom of a range. And what that does is it reduces your average, so you can keep accumulating more and more Ondo. Let's say you sold like 10% here and then rebought here, you get like 6% more of that 10% that you sold, for example. And then you're basically getting, and then you add that to your portfolio as if it's for free. And then what the calculation will show your average going down. And it helps you and keep your average low. When I saved my butt on Matic, when Matic lost its macro momentum, I started doing that reaccumulation strategy where I was just buying at the, I was doing inverse perpetual trades actually, sorry. So I was doing like the longs and shorts with the asset and lowered my average that way. And yeah, got my average to as low as like 32 cents. And then when it lost that legacy support, I just basically boycotted it ever since. But because Ondo likes to range and it's relatively predictable within its ranges, I recommend doing the same thing. If you have a decent win rate, you've proven to yourself that you have like at least a 50% win rate, I would recommend doing that kind of strategy too to keep reducing your average during like times like this. Can we look at Ethereum? Yeah, we can look at Ethereum. And then I got to head out, guys. Sorry, I'm kind of low on time today. Okay, so we have retested this previous low. Oh yeah, we're talking, someone mentioned Ethereum in the community today, looking for potential setups. We have this uptrending momentum here. We don't have very many tests against it. From like 3,300, we kind of have this fast momentum, and then we had this evolving momentum, so we kind of got some negative space from it. But I'm still monitoring it just in case. We are approaching this previous value area high. This could be refined, by the way. The only reason why I made this as wide as it is because you can technically just take this area as your demand zone of interest. It's just because I just wanted to include the low of this as yet to be fully mitigated. And if it does get fully mitigated, then I'll just refine it to something like this here. In the back, here we go, and there we go. But until I delete this, I'll just leave it there for now. But anyways, we have this uptrend momentum that again, I don't truly fully trust it. After testing these lows, we are looking like we're trying to build like a potential double bottom posture. We just recently had like that pullback retest. So if we get that break of the neckline, then I'll be targeting the measurable base target, which is pretty much where the supply concern is and this VWAP is. If we do get that break, we could like rotate to here. And I would mark this as an area of concern right here. But the thing is with, I think you might see some relative weakness in alts again soon because of how much pairing liquidity there is with Ethereum and the amount of staking funds being unlocked right now with Ethereum. So it happened to happen in confluence. The timing just happened to happen in confluence with it just almost testing its new all-time high. But yeah, around this time is when we had like a bunch of funds starting to get unlocked for Ethereum. So inevitably, people are going to sell. It's a guarantee. When there's that many funds like being unstaked, that a majority of them might sell. Not a large majority, but like a decent enough to make a huge impact on the price, right? And us being at this high in the price, they're not likely going to be restaking those funds unless they're institutions, or some, because the lock time will prevent you from being able to sell at the cycle top. And yeah, you don't want to keep yourself locked in a staking protocol when we're approaching all-time highs, because you got to have your bags ready on the exchange, ready to sell when the top is called. HRJ, what's up, man? How you doing? So when we back test a strategy, we have to calculate it too. I mean, we have an 80% win rate, but theoretical 2-to-1, but can actually still lose money when not hitting full TPs. Yeah, exactly. You can have a good entry-based strategy that suggests a high win rate, but your performance as a trader is really, really important for how you close your trades. So you can, yeah, so the R&R is a factor of your strategy. If you notice that your strategy constantly captures 1-to-2s, then that's awesome. But you got to make sure that that's you backtest the amount of times that occurs too. If it's constantly closing at 1-to-1s, you got to make sure you have a relatively high win rate to support a 1-to-1 net R&R. There's nothing wrong with taking just 1-to-1s, but it does require you to have a much, much higher hit rate than like a 1-to-2. Like a 1-to-2 would only require you to have like a 40% win rate, or 40 or 30. I think the math is like 33% win rate with 1-to-2s to be profitable long term. But you be, as I say, that'll probably be break even actually. But yeah, high win rate for 1-to-1s and stuff like that. If you're doing like an SFP strategy in confluence with certain key rules, you're likely going to have a super high R&R strategy, but low win rate. So there's a balance to it all. Yeah, I'm addicted to that kind of stuff. So if you want to ever talk to me about like a strategy and how you can like enhance it, what kind of rule could you overlap? What kind of bias rule could you add to increase your win rate? For example, only taking longs when we're above the VWAP, or only taking shorts when we're below it, or only taking longs when there's a deviation of the VWAP on the lower side, or only taking shorts when we deviate far from the VWAP from the upside. There's a bunch of different variations of rules you can do, but the back testing is the only way you know the probability. And if you know the probability, you're able to separate your emotion from your trading. Because then then you just know like, oh, I lost a trade, whoop-de-doo. Now I know like I have a higher percentage chance of winning the next one. But yeah, how the strategy itself suggests for you to close the trades is really, really important. You should have an entry condition and an exit condition. Sometimes the exit conditions can evolve based on the conditions of the market. For example, like maybe you only want to trade descending double bottoms or something, right? That could be like, okay, I have a X% win rate of trading descending double bottoms at a demand zone. Um, and you have your measurable base target, but your target could be blocked by a barrier concern. So long as you're aware that those barriers are there, you can either be reactional to those barriers, and that could hurt your like overall net R&R if there's a situation where you're forced out of your trade. Or you can just say, I'm not going to take this one because in my back testing, these barriers did not occur, right? So the more you learn, the more you see in this space. And like there's nothing what I really like about trading is like it's one of the very few jobs out there where if you learn something, it has an immediate impact over your income. So I suggest whenever there's nothing going on in the charts, you should be like back testing and studying, right? Just constantly enhance what you know, and then you can start. You're basically constantly allow yourself to evolve as a trader. You're giving yourself that raise, basically. Um, but yeah, man, super important to be aware of your net R&R. But yes, I gotta head out. I really enjoyed doing the TA here with you guys. I appreciate everyone who's been watching, sharing, subscribing, and all that fun stuff. Reach out to me in the Discord if I didn't happen to get to you. Just because I'm busy right now, like I'm not able to do a live, doesn't mean I can't like respond back to you guys while I'm doing some work in the background. But yeah, have a great day. See you guys.